is Wednesday， 今日星期三啦 ，and it's a full day， 今日好忙啊。So we started early at 9 o'clock for the Spanish class until 1 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock is the cooking class, and then 3:30 is the dancing class, and then afterwards 6 o'clock there's a language exchange in the hostel, and then 8 o'clock in the same hostel that held the language exchange was a free dancing class again. So I just came home at like around 10:30 or something, and then I just ate a little bit, and now it's 11 o'clock already. 咁今日好長啦，一早9點鐘開始上堂啦，上到1點啦，跟住2點鐘有烹飪班啦，跟住3點半有跳舞班啦，然後6點鐘有語言交流啦，咁唔使錢佢間 hostel 有搞呢啲嘢啦，跟住然後8點鐘喺同一間 hostel 又有免費嘅跳舞班啦，咁然後我10點幾先至翻到嚟屋企啦，而家11點鐘啦，係啦，啱啱食咗少少嘢咁樣，咁跟住而家就讀書啦。So here like this Spanish learning life is really intensive and it's so full and so busy. It's kind of like a full-time studying thing already. 咁喺度學西文咧，學到好似翻緊全日制學校咁樣，因為就係每一日朝頭早上完堂，晏晝有活動啦，啲活動又唔使錢喎，咁然後你又覺得唔好蝕底啦，同埋係即係真係都即係會即係見到唔同嘅人啊，跟住又繼續可以練下講西班牙文啦，咁跟住係啦，跳舞又超好玩啦，咁所以係啦，煮嘢食又超開心啦，咁所以係啦 ，so I'm just having fun here， 咁我係超級享受喺度嘅時間同埋生活啦，咁樣樣。So let's get to the reading， 咁我哋正式開始啦。Read to Resist Day 229， 當閱讀也是抗爭第229日。A Concise History of Hong Kong by John Carroll。香港簡史，從殖民地至特別行政區，著者高馬可，譯者林立慧。Techniques of control. Scholars who study how colonial governments manage their subjects generally focus nowadays more on the cultural aspects of colonialism than on its political or economic aspects. For example, they often see colonial education as a potent tool for making students useful in the new colonial hierarchy, producing subordinate citizens and separating colonizers from colonized while creating a proper colonial elite. Similarly, enforcing Western ideals of gender relations help European colonists control their subjects. In India, for example, the British introduced a minimum age for marriage and against Hindu custom, urged widows to remarry. In 1829, they outlawed sutti, the custom whereby a Hindu widow is willingly cremated on the funeral pyre with her deceased husband as an act of devotion. Although many Indians supported the attempts to end the practice, some scholars have seen outlawing sutti as a way for the British to show their own moral superiority and to justify colonialism. In China, efforts by European women to end the traditional practice of foot binding helped legitimize the semi-colonial Western presence here. 勞民之術。今天研究殖民地政府如何治理臣民的學者，一般集中於殖民統治的文化層面，多於政治或經濟層面。例如，他們常把殖民地教育視為強而有力的工具，可以令學生在新的殖民地層級體系中成為有用之人，又能製造順民，並可培養合適的殖民地精英，從而分隔殖民者和被殖民者。同樣，強制執行西方的兩性關係思想，也有助歐籍殖民統治者控制子民。例如，印度的英國人規定最低婚姻年齡，並違反印度習俗，鼓勵寡婦再嫁。印度還有殉夫習俗，寡婦在丈夫去世火葬時，可投入柴堆，隨夫自焚，以表貞節。英國人在1829年把殉夫列為非法。雖然許多印度人支持廢除殉夫，但有些學者認為英國人取締這種習俗是要彰顯自己的道德優勢性，並令殖民統治顯得合理。在華歐籍女性致力廢除前足習俗，也有助合理化西方在中國的半殖民勢力。 This is the reading of today. 咁今日係讀呢一段啦，咁 so it's very interesting what they're talking about. 咁我覺得佢提到呢樣嘢都幾有趣嘅，就 about like culture and how like just changing the custom or tradition of like the colonies somehow make the British like feel they have kind of like a higher moral ground or just that they have the superiority. 咁就提到即係話殖民者使用一啲方法，即係去廢除一啲習俗啦，咁然後就令到佢哋好似係企喺道德高地多啲啊，或者即係佢哋嘅諗法就係即係好啲啦咁。But for me, I think, especially because this is about this is about women's right here, particularly what the examples that were being cited. 咁但係譬如對我嚟講特別，即係因為呢度提出嘅例子都係屬於即係女權嘅部分啦咁。Then I mean, like really, do you really think a woman should die with their husband? I mean, come on, like this is just wrong. I mean, like.There should not be any custom like that, right? 咁但係即係咩叫殉夫啫？呢個真係垃圾嚟噶嘛！你根本從來都唔應該有咁樣嘅習俗啦，即係咩習俗啫？呢個唔係一個習俗咯咁樣。So when things are wrong, you just have to change, and it doesn't matter like whether it's the colonizer or the colonized, right? So I think this is like for me, it's really just not.Something that you should blame the colonizer in a way, you know, like this is actually something good. 咁我覺得即係譬如喺咁樣嘅情況之下，我認為其實唔應該話啫，殖民者好衰啫咁樣改晒我哋啲傳統啊咁 ，which actually would be the narrative of the autocracy like Chinese government right now. 咁但係其實咧，正正就係而家譬如中共佢哋會用呢種所謂反殖民嘅口實，就係佢話啊西方人成日要改我哋啲嘢咁 ，then。This sort of nationalism and racism as well that actually create a barrier for the people to think clearly what's right and what's wrong. 咁我覺得即係就係用咗呢個口實之後，就令到呢啲即係真正嘅人，即係啲子民、啲市民、人民冇辦法可以分得清楚到底乜嘢係即係所謂愛國啦，即係所謂啊我自己嘅文化咁樣，咁乜嘢其實就係啱同埋錯就唔識分對錯，即係用咗呢一個咁樣嘅旗號，呢咁樣嘅旗幟之後，咁樣嘅口號，咁就即係好似就係總之佢哋殖民地做嘅嘢就衰啦，咁我哋就要即係佢哋取消嘅我哋要攞翻出嚟啊，或者即係佢哋反對我哋要做啊，即係敵人反對的我哋就要做啊咁樣樣。Then it is really like losing a rational ground to.debate or to discuss， 咁呢就冇咗個理性嘅討論或者辯論啦咁樣樣。And which is also why like it's been so hard for women's right to actually like sustain or really like why so many girls and women in this world are still suffering, just like in Afghanistan right now。咁正正亦都係就係點解女權一路以嚟咁難做啦，即係呢個世界仲有咁多即係女孩子以及係成年嘅女性係受到咁多嘅壓迫啦。咁你望下伊朗，你望下阿富汗，咁就係真係每一次講到就好嬲，所以 it really makes me very angry。咁係令到我好嬲嘅咯咁。When I was a kid, like because I grew up with my grandmother, right? So my grandmother would tell me about things about like the foot binding.So-called customs of the foot binding。咁我細個咁我阿嫲湊大我噶嘛，阿嫲會同我講即係關於呢一個紮腳嘅問題啦，即係咁樣樣。And my grandmother like you know like she would say you know like this is something that is just you know cruel and it shouldn't happen and I should feel lucky that you know the people before us has already sort of like demolished this tradition and she also said that she's lucky because like her family isn't like that。咁即係我阿嫲都會同我講話紮腳呢樣嘢其實就係好衰嘅嘢啦，即係然後就係我係好彩啦，因為前人就已經廢除咗啦，佢都話佢好彩啦，佢屋企唔使佢紮啦咁樣樣。So this is kind of like a value, it's kind of like right and wrong, like maybe she wouldn't use the word like rights, you know。咁當然佢可能會講權利啦，咁但係其實好清楚就係有是非黑白啊嘛，對錯啊嘛咁樣樣。So and it's nothing to do with like colony or not, right？ 咁係同我哋係咪殖民地係冇關係㗎，即係 this is something that is wrong。So whether or not we were a colony, it should be abolished. Like end of story. 咁總之呢樣嘢係錯嘅，唔理我哋係唔係殖民地都好，唔理佢係邊個政府，其實都應該就係要廢除咯咁樣。So I'm a little bit like I guess I just like wouldn't agree with that part about like culture. I think if you talk about culture, then you should talk about like the use of language. You should talk about education in the sense of how do they teach the history of our country, our city, our ancestors, you know? 咁我覺得即係佢講文化係啱嘅，但係我覺得其實講文化嘅佢應該要講嘅就係關於語言啦、語言嘅使用啦。教育啦，喺教上佢點樣教歷史啦，佢點樣講我哋嘅城市、我哋國家嘅歷史啦。And also and one thing about the culture is like apparently like for example in Hong Kong, before the handover, there was very few kind of like Chinese opera, 戲劇 kind of like that sort of performing arts that really stem from kind of like the traditional Chinese culture were being promoted in Hong Kong。咁譬如即係其實就係講從另一個角度去睇文化，就係譬如表演藝術裡面，即係喺97主權移交之前，其實係比較少係去即係倡議去推廣關於即係粵劇啊、京劇啊，即係呢一類型戲曲上面真係講緊源遠流長嘅傳統中國嘅表演藝術咧，其實係真係好少嘅。So that sort of is also part of like how the colonizer were actually controlling this sort of like traditional cultural performances and art in the sense that this is our heritage, this is our root in that sense。咁呢個係即係完全就係呢個就係真啦，即係從美學嘅角度，從文化藝術嘅角度，佢哋點樣去即係收窄我哋對即係唱做練打呢一啲咁嘅概念啊，戲曲裡面嗰個美學啊咁樣 ，and instead we were being taught and also being fed more with the westernized drama theatre tradition。咁然後即係我哋就即係主要就係即係戲劇裡面或者表演就係西方嘅戲劇啦，即係即係話劇啊、正劇啊，即係就係從西方嗰邊去即係入。做切入點啦咁樣，咁所以so this is about aesthetic, this is about culture, and this is about heritage。咁呢個就係即係嗰個承傳啦，嗰個文化同埋個美學嗰樣嘢就真係喺呢一度就係從文化上面去殖民，去改變你對即係關於你自己嘅自身身份個探索嘅方式嘅問題。So it's all about like self-expression and how do we find or like sort of express our identity. Now, this is something that is actually what the colonizer was doing, like in the sense of culture. 咁呢個就係即係真係殖民上面，即係文化上面佢點樣做啦咁樣樣。So this is the end of today。咁我今日就讀到呢度啦 ，because it's really late already, and I still sort of want to wind down a little bit because like there's a lot of socializing and I'm really tired。咁and I need some me time。咁因為其實咧咁啊全日啦，咁我成日都同啲同學一齊啦，跟住跳舞又係即係社交啦，咁就超攰，即係其實個腦好攰。咁我好需要一啲 me time 嘅時間，咁所以咧我就今日就嚟到呢度，咁我哋聽日再見 ，see you again tomorrow，bye。